everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be starting a little project that I've kind of been wanting to do because it's kind of a little bit of part of my old influence series, but we're actually going to be calling this the de-influencing series because I am in my de-influenced era, even though I'm still being influenced. So kind of the idea behind this new series is just picking books that I've seen everywhere and I've seen everybody talking about, everybody's reading it, and I just want to read them so badly. And so I end up picking them up and I can tell you guys whether they're worth it or not. So hopefully I can either influence or de-influence you guys to either pick them up or not pick them up, hopefully based more specifically on what you guys like. So I do have 3 that definitely have been shoved in my face quite a bit the past couple of months, even before they were out. Like, some of these are crazy, like how much I've heard about them. Like, I feel like one of these is definitely getting into Fourth Wing territory. I haven't heard people excited about a book this much since Fourth Wing. It's still not to that level. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. I'm sure we will, but I don't know if we'll ever see that again, like in my lifetime maybe. But this one's gotten close. This is probably the closest thing. But we have 2 other ones that I've also been asked multiple times to read, or I've just heard a lot about. And so this is actually kind of interesting because 2 of them have like a 4.4 rating on Goodreads, tons of reviews, everyone's obsessed with it. The other one is a very hyped up author. Their last book did fantastic. However, this new book is not doing well. It actually has a 3.4. So it's like incredibly hyped at the same time as getting poor reviews. So I am curious what people are not liking about it, why people enjoyed their last book and not this one. So our 3 books that we're going to be going through are The Wolf King, Half His Age, and of course Daggermouth. I feel like this video wouldn't be complete without this super hyped up book. Like I said, haven't seen a book this hyped since Fourth Wing. So we are going to start with Wolf King. So first, very quickly, Daggermouth is a dystopian. I'm not exactly 100% sure what it is besides dystopian. I do know that there is a lot of like political intrigue, overthrowing governments. So I do think part of the popularity also has to do with kind of the state of the country right now. So I think this is going to be a really interesting one to read, and I'm hoping I actually really like this one because everyone else is as well. This is the one that has a 3.4 and people are not liking it. And what I've heard about it basically is that it's kind of a rinse and repeat of the memoir, but of the most sexual parts of the memoir with nothing like that deep in it. So a lot of people said it's reminiscent of My Dark Vanessa, which I love and I think is a very important book for a lot of people to read. Pretty much anyone should read that because it's so important as long as you're able to read the trigger warnings. Apparently this is like a shallower version of that. So that's kind of what I want to look into reading through this book because it's still incredibly hyped. Everybody is still reading this book. It is literally everywhere, but it's not getting good reviews like the other 2 hype books are. The one we are starting with is The Wolf King, and I have already read 15% or 70 pages, and I kind of just read 70 pages really fast. And this is following a main character who, I don't know how much I can say, like what's in the synopsis, because it's like this book starts off very quickly, and I have some comments about that. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. When war erupts between humans and werewolves, a princess finds herself torn between duty and desire. Yeah, that's kind of all you need to know. Like, it is following a princess, and she is betrothed to somebody who is a scumbag. I mean, that's kind of how it always is. And something happens where she is removed from the situation, and I don't really want to say anything else. I went into this blind. This generally, for me, the opening of this, I do prefer people to go into a book like this blind because the opening is like really action-packed. So the synopsis just kind of gives away everything that happens at the beginning. So I'd rather almost read like the first 100 pages, then go back and read the synopsis. So I still haven't fully read the synopsis, so I'm still gonna wait. But I already have some problems with this one, and I'm gonna talk about romantasy as a whole, but when I talk about romantasy as a whole, obviously not every single book, because I do not think Fourth Wing does what I'm about to say. There are a lot of romantasy books that don't do this. There are also a lot of fantasy books that do stuff like this as well. So this isn't just romantasy, but I have seen romantasy kind of fall into the traps that this book has as well. So we're going to talk about it. But again, I want to say a disclaimer here. I want to say a disclaimer here because I don't think you should ever tell anybody what they should and should not enjoy. That's what's been going around lately, the anti-intellectualism bullshit where people are like, you need to be reading more critically. And it's like, no, if I don't want to, I don't want to. I'm not going to. However, just because you enjoy something does not mean that it does not have valid critiques against it. So just because you enjoy it You're allowed to enjoy anything you want. You're allowed to read anything you want. It's great to enjoy these books. I mean, one of my booktube friends, Vanessa, she reads monster romance. Not something I would ever read, but I think it's great for her to read it. So what you want to read is what you want to read. But again, some of these things are going to have critique. So if I'm reading this, I'm going to critique it based on my personal opinion and what I prefer to see in books. So I just kind of want to put that out there because I don't want this review to be like, oh, she's picking on romantasy readers. And that's not the case. Like, if you like it, that's great. But I'm going to talk about them critically. So for this book already, I took a lot of notes. This book is already falling into the trap of a lot of romantasy books that I struggle with, and that is a lack of patience. A lot of romantasy books just kind of dump you into the world and you're immediately met with the romantic interest, and there's already a lot of sexual desire, and it's just, I mean, it just immediately goes there. So basically, books like this do appeal to like my sense of wanting the story to like rush really fast at the beginning. I am not a patient person, especially at the beginning of books. My least favorite part of books is actually the beginning of books generally. I struggle to get into books. Once I'm in the middle of the book to an end of the book, I really enjoy it. But generally, picking up a book is really hard for me. I don't enjoy trying to immerse myself in a world. However, that doesn't mean that it's not necessary. That is just me and my lack of patience. And so romantasy books, you will find often that when I talk about romantasy books, and that's what we see a lot in the fairy loot books and all those types of books, is I often come on and I say, oh my god, I'm loving the first 50 pages. Like, it's moving so quickly. There's a lot of things happening. And then things start to go off the rails at about 100 pages when we're expected to feel some sort of emotional attachment to the characters. We're supposed to understand the world. We're supposed to understand the magic system. The fact of the matter is, I don't understand anything about this world. All I know about this world is that there are wolf clans and that they're fighting with the humans. I don't understand 70 pages in anything else about it other than there is a hot alpha dude who has taken a shine to beautiful princess lady and they want something from the kingdom. So that is a problem. That's a problem. I read 70 pages like that. However, now that I'm 70 pages in, I'm like, okay, is there really any substance to this book? Like, I'm already starting to flag because there was no buildup of the story. There was no, oh my god, let's get to know the character really well. Because I don't even know our princess that well. Like, she doesn't even have that many things that she's done so far. It's just been a lot of action and a lot of her kind of defending her stance on something. And that's it, because it just jumps in so quickly. But because of a lack of patience on the author's side of things, we've already been introduced to the romantic interest, so it already kind of is just like, it's too fast, it's too insta lust, insta love, and we don't know and understand anything about the world. So it's already like not setting us up for success. This book is also incredibly repetitive already. So we have like a whole section where she's a very weak character so far, and that can be okay because like her morals seem very strong, so that's cool. Like, she is very strong in what she believes in, but her actual like she's being carried around constantly, and I personally don't like that in a main character, but I'm kind of setting that aside and seeing if like personality can kind of shine through that. But I don't love a character that's just like picked up constantly, put down, picked up, put down. But it drives me insane, and that's what's happening right now. Is every 3 seconds the alpha dude is picking her up and carrying her around and putting her down and then re-picking her back up, and it's just the same, like they're having the same conversations over and over again in these 70 pages. And I'm not kidding you when I say like I feel like a whole page was like, put me down, put over and over and over again. And it was just so annoying. Of the repetitiveness of the like, I'm hoping that chills out and we have a fully autonomous main character instead of her being literally a puppet that's being carried around. Like, I get it. She's like this weak little adorable thing that can be carried around easily by this alpha wolf. So that's just already the problems I'm having with this book. And I feel like this is a very specific type of romantasy trope feeling. These are definitely romantasy books that I tend to avoid because of the weak main female character who needs the strong boy to take care of her. And I I don't love that. Also, we are constantly, again, the repetitiveness, we are constantly have this one character already leering at her and making lewd comments constantly every time he's on page, and he's around a lot. And it's any interaction with this character already in the first 70 pages. So again, there's just no depth to anything that is happening right now. And I don't foresee a lot more depth being added, but I can hope. I can hope. So as of right now, it is feeling very generic. I just wanted to write a hot alpha romance. So here it is, and I didn't want to do that much story building. So I am really hoping that it gets better. Oh my God, and the eyes. So this is like a Scottish inspired telling. Every sentence he starts with I, yes, this, I'm doing this, and I'm like AYE. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know if they like watched Outlander too much or something like that, if that's what's happening, but my grandmother was Scottish, like the thickest accent you've ever heard in your life. I don't know if I ever heard her say I. Like, not a single time. Maybe once in a while, maybe, but it's so egregious. It's so egregious. You can already see, I'm like trying not to do spoilers. Is there spoilers here? No. Okay. He just says something, but it's like, you have I here, and this one's not even that bad, but you also have I here. And that's not a bad page. Like, that's a page that actually doesn't have that many on it. But I think it's every single page. If he talks on the page, he says that. And it's driving me nuts. It is what is sticking out in this book. So far, I'm not super impressed with the writing. I'm not super impressed with the storytelling. Not super impressed with the character building. It just feels incredibly generic. I feel like if this works for me, it's only going to work for me because it is dealing with my lack of patience, and it's rewarding my lack of patience in world building. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. So we're going to continue with The Wolf King. I don't see this taking very long because I'm flying through it right now, but I will probably let you know closer to 50% what I'm thinking. I don't know if I'm going to have too many thoughts before then, but I could update sooner, but we'll see. But for right now, a little confused why it has a 4.4, but who knows? Could get way better. I am about maybe close to 70%, 65% through The Wolf King. I'm very far. I thought I was going to update sooner, but I've kind of just been reading all morning, or all day, I guess now. I think it's like 2 or 3 o'clock now. I just haven't stopped reading. I'm on page, 318, or chapter 43. This is such a complicated one to talk about because it falls definitely in the category of like my Silver Elite read, my read of Conform, just books that aren't necessarily actually very good. There's no substance to this book. Like, there really isn't. Like, at least with Conform and Silver Elite, there was like a overthrow the corrupt government kind of thing, which there is kind of that happening a little bit. We're just not focusing at all on it. Like, we're not focusing on anything other than the romance in this book. Like, absolutely none of the political intrigue that we kind of hinted at is really the focus of this. I'm assuming later books, that's what we're actually going to focus on. This book is literally just existing to establish the romantic interests, plural. I do see potentially a thing happening, and I am curious because there are 3 options. So, first of all, I am enjoying it. I do have, and I'm glad we kind of went out of this section, I do have a major problem with how the wolves were portrayed at the beginning of the book. So when we actually went to the wolf area and we met a bunch of the wolves, our main character went on a rampage talking about how dirty and gross and how they didn't bathe, all that kind of stuff. And normally I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's just werewolves. But the thing is, I've actually never read a werewolf book where they're dirty. Like, I don't understand why that's part of the thing. And I do think it is slightly problematic because of the history of how Scottish people were talked about. My grandparents on my dad's side are actually Scottish immigrants. They were both from Scotland. My aunt was actually born in Scotland as well. And so I'm like 50% Scottish, like straight up. Both of my grandparents, and so my dad is 100% Scottish, and so I'm about 50%, I guess. But they're like very proud of their heritage. And so even though I didn't learn like a ton from them, I did learn a lot about how Scotland was seen, specifically by the English, from my like Henry VIII books and that kind of stuff, and going further back. I'm like a weird Kings and Queens of England buff. I don't know what it is. Specifically, it's like the Tudor era or the Roses era, but I have read a lot of stuff before that. And a lot of the stuff before that, and even during this period of time, because still talking about the Scots during the Tudor period, they are just seen as like a dirty group of people. Like that is how the English looked at them, and they're always looked down upon, and because they weren't as sophisticated, and so like they're called dirty and barbarians, and basically kind of just made fun of throughout history by the English. And so I find the depiction of them, of Scottish people, as dirty in this just very not great. Like it is pretty problematic in my opinion. I haven't seen anyone talk about it. I'm a little surprised, but I don't love it. I am glad that we have moved away from that. But literally there was a section where she was like talking to this person. She's like, oh yeah, and this woman walks up to us and she has dirt smeared around her face. And I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? And she goes, and they're coated in grime. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? So I don't know if this author like has a problem with Scottish people or something, or she just has her history from, because I think she is from England. I think she lives in England. I don't know. I am a little suspicious of that. I am glad that we have moved away from that depiction of them being a dirty group of people, because it is so unnecessary. So that is probably my biggest problem with this book. Now that we have moved past that, I am generally enjoying it because it's drama. Like this book is just drama, because it is turning into a love triangle, kind of. There are 3 options for this, and I'm okay talking about this because I think it's kind of obvious that there's gonna be like romantic entanglements happening, but there's obviously three options that are gonna happen here. We have romance interest number 1, who was like an insta love from this book. I don't really want that to happen. Like I like him as a character, but I never like an insta love. I would much prefer a second book romance where the first romance kind of was like a fake out, and then we have like the real romance, which is significantly deeper. There's much more involved in that romance, and I already feel that with the other character. So the first option is the original romance. Don't want it. Number 2 is actually poly. I could see this going poly, and I would actually prefer that option than the first option, because I really like the other character. And then obviously option 3 is my preferred option, which is the other male character. I haven't finished this book yet, so I don't know if all the people are even viable options, because obviously we could get to the end and it's like, oh, this person's actually evil the whole time. That is obviously an option. I don't think it's going to be, but that could be an option. So I am hoping, and based on the second book, I kind of feel like potentially we are going that direction just based on what the second book is called. So I do hope that option 2 or 3, specifically 3, are what we're going for. But I mean, it's bingeable. It's bingeable. There's nothing deeper than surface level in this book. Even the politics, they just are so broad, and it's just like, hey, this group is oppressing this group, and that's kind of it. And we really haven't talked about it much since the first 100 pages. So there's just nothing deep about this book. But it is so bingeable. It's so bingeable. Like, it's so bingeable. If you literally just want to read a book that is super easy to read, incredibly bingeable, and is just mainly about the romantic drama, this is probably going to be the book for you. So I get why it's got a 4.4, because like, that's what's crazy. For actual content, this is probably like a 1 or a 2. For enjoyability, it's like a 4. So I get it. I get why this rating is so high, because again, it's the same thing with Silverly and Conform. My enjoyability of those books were 4 or 5. The actual content and writing of those books, a 1 or a 2. So I get it. I get it, and I get why people probably hate this. I also get why people are loving this. I think this book is really going to come down to, what are your expectations for this book? If you're going into this just for a really fun time, you're probably going to really enjoy it. If you're going into this to get some sort of deeper meaning and feeling through this book, you're probably going to be disappointed. So I do think this book is definitely going to depend on expectations and who is picking the book up. But yeah, I should finish this in the next hour or so. Like I'm just gonna binge the rest of the book. It is Realmathon. Sadly, there's no foiling on this. I thought there was, but no, that's not actual foiling. So no foiling on this, so I can't count it for that. There's also no academic or trial setting, which is sad. I gotta figure out what prompts this actually fits for. So I don't know how many points I'm actually gonna get out of this one. It is a longer book, which is nice, but don't think I'm gonna get too many points, but we'll see. So I'll let you know, because I'm gonna basically throughout all of March, anything I film in March, I will talk about points for Realmathon, because that's what I'm going to be doing with all my books, and I have so many things I want to read. So let's go finish The Wolf King. I'll let you know what I think, and I think we'll probably start Half His Age next. I've officially finished The Wolf King, and I'm going to give it a 3.5. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I wasn't the biggest fan of how this book ended, and I'm not sure I loved how it set up the next book. Like, I'm really unsure how I feel about it. I think my feelings could change depending on if this is going to be polyamory or not. If it turns out not to be polyamory, I do think this could go up to a 4, but it very much feels very strongly like it's going to be polyamory. And you guys know, I don't have a problem with polyamory. It's just not something I tend to read. I don't really enjoy that in my romance books. So I am nervous, but I am going to continue the series. So I will say that I am actually probably going to pick up the next book literally like now. Like, I am gonna read a chunk of Half His Age for this video, but I do want to start the next one just to see how it starts, and I'm really hoping it goes in the direction that I want it to go in, but I do tend to generally pick wrong. I do think ACOTAR is a situation where I didn't pick wrong, thank goodness, but most books I do pick wrong. So I am a little bit nervous, but I will say it does feel very ACOTAR with the characters. Like, it is following a similar format to ACOTAR and how the characters are actually acting. So I will say that. So I am hopeful that it is going to be an ACOTAR situation. But other than that, it's fine. I maintain that this has very little substance to it. If you are a reader who really needs strong world building, this is not going to be the book for you. This is so very uncomplicated, and I don't think I could actually explain to you what this world is. It is a very finite area that we are focusing on. I mean, it's literally the Northlands and the Southlands, and they are at war, and the Northlands are the wolves, and the Southlands are just like humans who don't like the wolves, and they are at war. And that's literally it. That is the extent of the world building. And like, for me, that's not enough. Like, I do, in a fantasy book, I want much more world building, and this just isn't. It's not doing that. It's not doing that. So I do think if you just want a very simple, bingeable romantasy book, this is going to be for you. If you want it to focus on the romance and you want the drama, I think this will be fun for you. But if you need anything more from your book, this is not going to work. So I will say, this does feel very TikTok. It does. Like, this is generally when I think about TikTok recommendations and why a lot of times they don't work for me. And it's very like pop culture-y type books. And that's not saying there's anything wrong with them. It's just, that's why they kind of just don't work for me, like this style of book. But yeah, so hopefully this de-influences a couple of people. I definitely would not buy this. If you're iffy on this one, I would say do Kindle Unlimited or get it from your library. I would not buy this before trying this one, because this is it's fine. It's fine. I do appreciate the bingeability though. So that's kind of all I have to say about it. There literally is that much like not content in this that it is actually kind of hard to talk about, because nothing really happens. It's really just the romance, and I can't really talk that much about the romance because that's the whole book. That's the whole plot. So I can't really tell you much because that would spoil everything that happens in the book, because there really is no plot outside the romance. So moving on to the one that everyone is not liking, and that is Half His Age. I read the first 2 pages and I'm already scared. I'm already very scared, and I am going to be looking for something very specific. So I talked about it. It's supposed to be like a My Dark Vanessa kind of situation, but My Dark Vanessa, okay. So there is a vulgarity in these types of books, and sometimes the vulgarity is necessary, and it points out like, hey, like, it's supposed to shock you in a way that makes you disgusted with the situation that is happening. This book, I am a little bit afraid just based on how it opened up. I'm a little bit afraid this is trying to shock you for the sake of shocking you. Like, it can take it to a level that is just over the top where you're no longer saying something about the topic. And that's what I'm worried this is going to do. My Dark Vanessa has a very, very, very graphic, and I think it's like one major scene. It might be a couple, but I specifically remember one because a lot of people have a lot of problems with it. I did not have a problem with that scene because it was like showing you how disgusting it is. It was like, this is why this is a problem. This is why it's disgusting. This is why everyone should have a problem with adults taking advantage of minors or younger people, just significantly younger people, because it doesn't even have to be minors. It can be a 50-year-old with an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old. There is I'm trying to be careful because YouTube will censor things. There is a GROOMING aspect to things, and My Dark Vanessa did a really good job of showing that using a graphic manner, but it was tastefully done so that it was purposefully shown how disgusting it is. This already feels like shock for the sake of shock. So I'm sure some of that is going to be in this book, but I just the cover even. Yeah. So we're going to see what this book is actually trying to say. Because like I said, Jeanette McCurdy did talk about some of her sexual experience that was very exploitative in her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. She was definitely taken advantage of by many men and many people. And so I do think that is what birthed this. But just having this as the cover and having the content already what is on page 1, it feels a little bit weird. It does for what potentially this is trying to say. So I'm gonna go read it. I probably will read this in one setting, or if I DNF it, I'll let you know. But it's very short. The chapters are very short. It's like 240, 250 pages. Margins are big. The spacing is big. There's like text and stuff. So I don't expect this to take very long if I do finish it. So I think this will be a one sitting read, just so I can get my full thoughts and get the full idea behind the book. Because sometimes a book like this, you don't know what it's trying to say until you get to the end of it. So I'm going to give it that whole chance, unless I DNF it, and then I'll talk to you about it. So let's hopefully go read Half His Age. So we have finished Half His Age. I feel so conflicted about this book. It's pretty much how I thought I would feel about this book. It was definitely a different experience compared to what I was hoping for. And I'm not sure if the author knew exactly what they were trying to say. I definitely feel like the situation here is that you have a celebrity. Their memoir did really, really well. They wanted to write a fiction book, and the publisher said, yeah, heck yeah, let's do this. But didn't give enough guidance for the author to tell a fully completed story. But I understand what it was trying to do. I do. I get it. I get what it was trying to do, but I just don't think it was successful. I don't think it was a fully completed story. So again, I'm going to use My Dark Vanessa as an example because that is the closest thing to this book that I have read. This definitely went for the aspect of the minor being the pursuer in the relationship. And I think it is an important thing to talk about because a lot of people will blame the minor and say, hey, they're the ones that went after the adult. It's their fault, blah, blah, blah. And I think this book does a really good job of showing the mindset of a teenager that is struggling and that feels like they need to go after an adult, and the adult kind of giving into what the child wants, because 17 is a child. That is a child. So it's purposefully trying to make you uncomfortable with the 17-year-old being the aggressor, being the very sexual aggressor in the relationship. It is challenging you because you do want to go, well, yeah, it's her fault because she was the aggressor. She's the one who kind of forced it upon him. He kept saying no, and she kept going for it, which is a sticky situation there because there is a scene where she did sexually assault him. Like, he said no multiple times and she continued. So just based off of that, she did sexually assault him at one point. However, other than that little part, he is the adult in the situation and should have removed himself. The second she showed any sort of advancement, any sort of interest, he removes himself from the situation. Tell the administration at the school, you completely remove yourself from this person's vicinity. And that's your job as an adult. Like, you should immediately, that should be your first thought. He just shouldn't have entertained it whatsoever. So it never should have gotten to that point to begin with. So it is complicated because there is a moment of sexual assault, but he does end up being into it. So it's very complicated. So this book makes you uncomfortable. I mean, that's what it is. This book makes you uncomfortable because it's making you question, okay, what is the definition of sexual assault in this situation specifically? Because he says no, and then he's into it after he says no. Definitely is okay, well, what happened then? Like, what does that actually mean for that moment? But also, what does it mean that he's like 40 something years old and she's 17? Like, what does that mean? So this is a very complicated book. Like, I get it. They're going for extreme discomfort, extreme complication. This is not your normal dynamic of just a teacher and a student, and the teacher shows some interest, the student shows some interest, and they kind of go together at the same time. And it's like, yeah, 100% teacher shouldn't have been involved. And you can tell by the comment section on Goodreads, like, some people were focused on well, she was the aggressor. She, like, you can't say anything bad about him because she went after him. But it's like, no, it's still his responsibility as an adult to remove himself from the situation. Like, he entertained things. He invited her to things outside of school, which is also a massive no-no. Like, don't do that. Like, I even thought, like, never go, you don't go to a teacher's house. You don't do that. I don't care what it is. You just don't do that. There is a blurring of lines when that happens. As a teacher, just don't do it. Just don't have any sort of party. And normally that comes down to, like, sports. Sports, a lot of times, like, soccer teams or football teams will have, like, a party at coach's house with pizza and blah, blah, blah if they have a really good game. Don't do it. Just don't do it. No. Like, you don't even want a moment of being able to question motivations at all. You don't need to cross that line. You are a teacher. They are a student. You are an adult. They are a minor. End of story. So I think this does a really good job of blurring those lines and making you uncomfortable. And so I think that is the best thing that it did. I think the problem with this book is it just throws in so much extra sexual content that it feels gratuitous. It feels shocking for the sake of shock. Like, there is a period scene that is completely unnecessary. And that's the problem, is a lot of this book was unnecessary. I think this needed to show more of the emotional side of things. I think it needed to show more of the ramifications with her family and with her friends, because it did a little bit of that. Mostly it was just a lot of sex scenes that could have been pared down. They just didn't need to be that graphic. Like, you could have one really graphic scene to really hit home, but it was constant. It was constant graphic sex scenes between a minor, kind of, because she did graduate halfway through and she did turn 18. And I know that the age of consent is 17, but well, in some states it's like freaking 16 or something like that, which is insane to me. But it's like, they're still a kid. They're still a kid. So I'm gonna say they're a minor, even if it's legal. But I still don't think it's legal if it's a teacher and a student. I think. I don't know. I don't. Is that illegal if they're of age? It's gross. It's gross and very unethical. But I think this needed an editor to go, hey, we get that you are, because she obviously, I mean, the author is definitely putting a lot of her trauma into this book. The editor needed to say, hey, for more of an emotional impact, more of a real thought processing kind of book, you need to pare down the sex scenes, because it does just seem gratuitous at this point. So I get what it was trying to do. I do think it successfully did what it wanted to do, but I do think it was overdone. I think it was over-sexualized and did ruin the book a bit. However, I do not think it deserves a 3.4. 100% do not think it deserves a 3.4. I think a lot of people read this thinking it was going to be like I'm Glad My Mom Died and did not use critical thinking skills, that was not what this was, that this is a fictional book, and that it's supposed to be like it's just trauma. It is just trauma. I feel like people did not go into this book knowing what it was. I went into this book knowing what it was and was still shocked. So if you went into this book not knowing what it was, oh boy, I can see that not being good. I can see the trauma. So I don't know what to rate this. Like, I feel like I shouldn't rate this. It's a similar situation to My Dark Vanessa because it's just a topic that was explored in a different way, but at the same time, it did make me very uncomfortable, made me question things, made me really have to fight with myself, like with your innate instinct to go, oh no, she was the problem. No, he's an adult. He was the problem. So I think it did what it did. So that's why I'm like, what do I rate this? But it is fiction. So is My Dark Vanessa. I just think My Dark Vanessa did such a good job with what it did. I think I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3. And maybe that's why it has a low rating. I saw a lot of ones. So I am curious. I'm gonna go through more of the 1-star reviews, but what I saw so far definitely was people who didn't like the sexual content. I mean, that's really what it came down to. But a lot of people were complaining about just the subject material in general. So I do think people were a bit disappointed because it wasn't I'm glad my mom died. I think they wanted more of that instead of this fictional retelling. So that is that. I talked way longer than I thought I would. I think I was very repetitive while talking about this book, but I feel like I just wanted to get a point across about this book. Anyway, that is that. We're on to our final book. Like, I've been working on this blog for like 2 days. It's crazy. Daggermouth. I also just saw the UK cover. Not a fan. Not a fan. I think the US cover is staying the same. So that's interesting. But I really don't like the UK cover that was just revealed. It's not for me. Not for me. Kind of hideous. And it makes me not interested in the book, which is a little nerve-wracking. Like, this doesn't make me that interested in the book either, but a little nerve-wracking that is what the UK cover looks like. But we'll see. This is dystopian. Take down the government, I believe. And yeah, the Vera are always watching. I love that. I love that shit. Okay, so, obedience is demand and rebellion is crushed. So it just seemed like just a really, I don't want to say generic because I haven't read it yet, but it does seem like a dystopian book, and we're going to go through rebellions and stuff like that. And, I love dystopian. So let's go read Daggermouth. So I want to do a very quick update so I can continue reading this morning because I'm editing and reading this morning. Really want to get this done just so I have this. I have so many things already scheduled, but I really want to get this done so I can focus on some other things. But I'm about 100 pages in, 106 pages in, and it's definitely not what I was expecting, and I'm liking it, and I'm having some problems with it at the same time. So we're following 2 different main characters. There are 2 major points of view. We're following Grayson, who is the son of the president of the bad guys, basically, the Empire. And we are also following a Daggermouth, who is an assassin, who is not really working for the rebellion. She's just picking up bounties and doing her thing, but she does have connections to the rebellion and has reasons to hate the current in power family. And so the whole point is that she is sent to kill him, and something happens and they end up bonded together, and that's what the book is about. Okay, that's a little bit better. I don't know why I had it on the other side. So it's fine. It's fine so far. There's nothing amazing about it. There's nothing bad about it. The writing is better than I thought it was going to be, because I did try to read like the first page and I was already like, oh, I don't know about the writing, but it got better after the first page. So writing's not bad. I would actually say it's pretty good for an indie published book. Like, you can tell there were definitely editors that went through this. My problem is I don't really buy the whole mask thing. So the point of this is that you have like separate groupings of people. So you have like obviously the elite, and then middle class, and then lower class groups, and the elite actually wear these like masks, and part of the rules is that no one can see, even the other members of the elite can't see each other without their masks on, which I just just find really strange. I just don't think it's very practical. And there's like laws where if people see you without a mask, you're executed. Again, it's just not very practical. The reason why like the marriage stuff happens has to do with the masks. And to be honest, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like why what is being done is being done. Like it doesn't make sense not to just kill the person. Like it really doesn't. Like I don't understand why they're not just killing the person and moving on and then this book wouldn't happen. Like it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I'm just not really buying the motivations, which is hindering my reading progress of this book because I'm just kind of like, it's a little silly. Like it is a little silly. So I am struggling a little bit with this just because I just don't think the plot really makes a lot of sense. So I am willing to overlook it. There already has been a very graphic sex scene. I can already tell the sex scenes are not going to be for me. There were safe words brought up. Like, already probably not going to be a fan of this, I have a feeling. The actual dystopian part of this, I am enjoying. So I am keeping my mind open, and I'm going to probably just end up skipping the sex scenes like I do in a lot of these books, that the sex scenes are too much for me. But I'm just hoping the mass stuff starts making a little more sense because that's a big part of the plot, and that's my biggest problem with the plot. So 100 pages in, I'll probably wait until about 50% to update again, and then we'll see how I'm doing at that point. I have like a couple of life updates. So we had our HVAC put in. I don't know if I updated in this video. Our HVAC died. The coil literally like blew up and then the condenser like kept running. So they think that the condenser was super damaged. So I ended up just replacing it. It definitely didn't want to. It didn't want to. I actually liked our HVAC pretty much. It was very, very, very expensive to replace. And I don't deal well with change. And so I knew that when this new one was put in, it probably would have some quirks that I didn't love. I was hoping it wouldn't, but unfortunately, there are a couple things that are driving me nuts. So we are going to call them back tomorrow to come check the house out again because it's not heating the house, or it's not cooling the house at like an even temperature. And now for some reason this room isn't getting any air. Like you can't hear any air coming out of the vent, which is crazy because in other parts of the house it's too loud now, and I'm really annoyed with how loud it is. Loudness and noise is just something I cannot handle because of the past that I've had with noise. I just can't do it. My ears are very, very sensitive. And so we're gonna have to see if they can come back and reduce like the revving of it because it has like a bunch of different speeds. We just can't do it ourselves. So we're gonna probably have them lower it a little bit. We're also going to obviously have them check what the heck happened in this room because it worked before today and now it's not working anymore. And I have proof that it worked today in these videos because you can hear the vent in a bunch of my videos in this room. So but obviously it was working before. Gotta see what happened in here. Our bedroom is like 5 degrees colder than the rest of the house. It's so cold. I don't know if they moved where the thermostat was running from. I don't know what happened, but it is freezing in our room, which I would prefer over being hot. But number one, it's too loud. Number two, it's way too cold in our room. And then number three, it's being weird about turning on and off. Like, I'm a little confused what's making it turn on, what's making it turn off. Like, I'm a little annoyed. So I'm not exactly happy right now. And it's really scary to not be happy with something that is this expensive. Like the cost of a car. I could have bought a car. Could have bought a car for what this cost. So if I'm not happy, nobody's gonna be happy about this air conditioning. So yeah, if it's something like less important, lot less expensive, then I'm a lot less picky about things. But if I'm spending this much money, I want it to work exactly how I want it to work. So yeah, I'm a little frustrated right now. I'm in a pretty bad mood. I'm in a pretty bad mood. And then on top of that, I had my allergy appointment. So my ENT wanted me to do an allergy appointment because I'm having all sorts of issues with my ears and sinuses and stuff ever since we moved here, because like the pollen and stuff is way different than where we used to live. And so I went in for an allergy test, and I originally thought it was actually for my mouth issues. I thought they were doing like a food allergy test, see if anything was just triggering something going on in my body. No, it was an environmental test, so it was for my ears. I didn't know that it was the scratch and stick test. So I went in and she was like, "Oh, you're ready?" And I was like, "I thought this was just a blood draw." And she's like, "Oh no, this is the scratch and then the poke test." And I was like, "Can you walk me through that one? Because I know my sibling did it. My brother had it done when he was a kid, and I remember everyone talking about it, how it was traumatic." And yeah, honestly, I have a really high pain tolerance, and that was horrible. Like, that was actually incredibly painful. The actual like stick part wasn't. So basically, you go in and there's like a list of allergies like grasses, trees, molds, cat, dog, mites, all that type of environmental stuff. And so they have this like, they do like a positive and a negative, and they do a little, like, it's a little scratch. Like, it's not comfortable, but it's not horrible. They do a little scratch, and then they have this like panel, and it's like 3 panels, and so it has like scratch things on the bottom. So they shove it into your arm and then like wiggle it around and move it so it's scratching your skin up, and it's injecting some of the like venom or whatever from each of the things, and then it bubbles up and it tells you what it is. And then to like confirm the test, which we definitely needed for mine because I have very overreactive skin, so even my negative, like the control negative where it's not supposed to show anything, mine was positive. So it went away really fast. Like, that was the difference. Like, the negative was positive for a couple of minutes, and then once it like relaxed, it went away, and then the positive stayed positive. So that's kind of how they were able to tell which ones were actual positive and what was negative. But then I needed the double check, and they literally take a needle and they like stick it under the skin and kind of wiggle it. Honestly, horrifically painful. Like, that was so painful, and they did it 25 times. Yeah, that was honest. That really was so painful. I could not believe that it was actually that painful. I was like, "Oh, it's not gonna be that bad." No, it was actually that bad. It was actually really, like, the first 2 she did didn't hurt, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't that bad." And then she got to the 3rd one, and I was like, "Oh, oh, this is actually terrible. This is actually incredibly painful." And I've had like my blood drawn so many times because of all of my medical issues. I've had so many other like EMGs. I have so many weird tests that I've had to take that are somewhat uncomfortable. This was up there. This was up there. Still not as painful as the electromagnetic, whatever, the EMG. Is it the EMG test I took? Whatever has the needle sticking into your muscles. That was worse. That one was worse. That is the worst one I've done so far. But anyway, so I had that done, and I reacted to almost everything. I'm allergic to everything outside. All grasses. Turned out I'm allergic to all grass. I'm allergic to almost all weeds. I'm allergic to like no, I don't want to say a number because I don't know exactly. I'm allergic to 70% of the trees that they tested for. It's a lot of trees. I'm really allergic to birch and maple. I think it was maple. No, oak. Oak and birch. Very allergic to those 2. I'm okay with maple, actually. Yeah, so I'm allergic to so many things. Not allergic to cockroaches, so if I want to have a pet cockroach, we're good. I'm also not allergic to dogs, which I was really excited about. I actually thought I was allergic to non-hypoallergenic dogs, but I'm actually not. I am not allergic to dogs. So anyway, I'm curious if I'll put up a picture. I had it on Instagram. See, this is why you follow me on Instagram, but you can kind of... That's too hard to show on here. Too difficult to show. You can kind of see some of the welts. Yeah, see, it's gone down pretty far, but you can see some of the welts right here. But I'll put up a little picture of what it looked like, because it was really bad. And she was like, "Oh, you lit up like a Christmas tree." And I was like, yeah, it's really painful. It's really, really itchy. It was so itchy, it was sending like shocks into my skin, which was super fun. But anyway, that was today. So I'm not in like the best mood today. I'm annoyed at the air conditioning. I'm annoyed at the skin test. And unfortunately, I'm not having the best time with this book. I'm hoping, I've heard it gets a lot better in the back half, but I am about 52% into Daggermouth, or about 290 pages. And I'm not really enjoying it. I just don't think really anything's happening. So I don't know how to even talk about this because I legitimately don't think anything is happening in this book. Like, we're following our main character who's an assassin, and I'm at the point where we're kind of just like dealing with living with each other, the assassin and the guy working for I keep calling it the Empire because what I can call it. The New Haven, something like that. The son of the dad who's Palpatine. We're just gonna use Star Wars references. I think they work well. So yeah, it's just them kind of like working together, and she has so very quickly gotten on the Grayson train, like so fast that I just don't super buy it. I think my favorite part of this book actually is the Callum and Lyra situation that's going on. That's what I'm enjoying. That's what I want to read. I really like Lyra as a character. I like Callum as a character. I don't think Shadira or Grayson have any personality. Like, I don't like them as the main characters. I would significantly rather follow Lyra and Callum. That is the romance, that is the intrigue that I feel. I don't care about Grayson at all. Like, I just don't like his character. Shadira is fine, but I feel like I don't know anything about her character. They're very one-dimensional or two-dimensional characters, and I don't really care. And so 50% in, legitimately nothing has happened. And I think that's my biggest problem with this, is I love dystopian books because the world in dystopian books is so good. It is so in-depth. We understand the rebellions, we understand how we got here, we understand so much about the system. And that's what a lot of the beginning of dystopian books are. It's a big setup for getting to the point of like, oh my gosh, we're like in this rebellion now. I don't know anything about this world. I don't understand how we got here. I don't understand who these people really are. I don't understand how the Daggermouths came to be. I don't understand how the rings came to be. We've gotten like little hints of it was war before, but like, what does that mean? I'm 290 pages into this book and I don't know jack shit about this world. And I don't like that. I'm really disappointed. I don't know anything about anything. That's the problem I'm having, is I don't know anything about anybody or anything. It's just people's interactions with each other. But like, why do I care? Because I don't know anything that's going on. Like, why would I care that a Daggermouth is talking to the Empire boy? I don't understand the history behind why the Daggermouths hate this group of people. I don't understand the history behind why the Empire is the way that it is. I don't understand anything, so therefore I don't care. And so that is definitely my biggest problem with this, is there is no backstory to this book. There's no backbone. It is heavily relying on character interaction, and I need world building for something like this. If it was something like if you have the Shadowhunters, but then we have a lot of background. Shadowhunters is in our world. It's just like an alternate reality kind of thing where the Shadowhunters exist. You don't need a ton of backstory, but it still trickled it to you. But you can rely a lot more on character interaction in that kind of story. When you have a book like this where you are in a totally different world and things work differently than your world, you have to have backstory. So like, a lot of people talk about Silverleaf and Conform, how they are not great books. And I have to say, the writing in this is way better. However, the setup is significantly better in both Conform and Silverleaf. I knew what I was looking at in both of those books. I understood where we were coming from. I understood how things became the way that they were by halfway through the book. I don't understand anything in this book that relates to anything that happened before this book started. And that's what makes a dystopian really good, is having a reason to fight or root against a group of people. And I just don't, like, I don't understand why. Like, obviously this guy's a really, really bad person, that alone. But like, I need the backstory. I need to understand what happened before. So I'm not loving this, unfortunately. I am hoping it gets better. I have heard it gets better in the back half, but I don't have that much hope, and I don't have like a ton of interest in it. So hopefully I do find some interest in this, because otherwise, like, this is taking me a while to read because of that lack of interest. So I'm really hoping we kind of chug along more. I need some more. I need some action. I need something to happen. It's just very dull. And I have to say, I like Jameson better than Grayson. I always choose wrong. I think Jameson's a more interesting character so far. So I wonder where that's going to go. I don't know where that's going to go. So we'll see. I don't have the highest hopes right now, but we're going to keep reading. I'm going to finish this book. I want to know what happens at the end. I don't have super high expectations for it. We have officially finished this video because I have finished Daggermouth. I'm gonna give it a 3-star, and we're gonna kind of talk about it because I have very strong feelings, and I do rate my dystopian books probably a little bit harder than other genres just because dystopian is one of my favorite genres. So I do have a couple things to say and why I didn't end up enjoying this nearly as much as I probably should have. I also want to say this isn't dark romance. Like this, like it's labeled in random places as a dark dystopian romance. Is it supposed to be dark romance or dark dystopian? Because either way, this didn't feel as like any more dark than any other dystopian that I've read. Like the things that happened in Conform were crazy. The things that happened in probably not as much in Silver Elite, but like the Hunger Games, like have you heard about that one? I would say the things that happened in the Hunger Games were significantly darker than stuff that happened in Daggermouth, depending on your triggers, but you know, like kids killing each other. That's pretty as dark as you get. So if it meant a dark dystopian, I don't think this is any darker than any other dystopian that I've read. If it meant dark romance, I don't think this is dark romance. Like, I feel like the level of dark romance this was at, which was higher than what I would normally read in a romance, was them being turned on by shooting each other in the leg. But at the same time, like, nothing really happened after that happened. And it was such a small moment that I was like, maybe later books, it'll be more of a dark romance, but if you're going into this for an actual dark romance, you'll be sorely disappointed. So that's kind of like my upfront 2 cents about this, but I have a lot more to talk about. Let me go at my notes, because I did write some notes about it, because I was reading, when I really was feeling strongly about this, was last night, when I was about 30 pages from the end. So I kind of want to get my notes, because there was no way I was going to remember what I was thinking about last night. So 1 second. Okay, so before I get into the negatives, and it's not like a bunch of negatives, it's more like a vibe slash feeling that I have about this book, that it didn't invoke certain feelings that I need to feel during a dystopian book. So let's talk about the things that I liked. I think the writing was fantastic. I think the different range of characters was really good. Did I like following all of them? No, I didn't think that was necessary, but I did like that we had a big range of people. I really loved, generally, the last 10% of this book. I thought the last 2 reveals were crazy, especially that last one. That last, like, final page reveal was so good. I never saw it coming. It was so out of left field, but made sense the entire time. That is how you do a reveal. That's how you do a twist, where it's going to be so almost impossible to guess it, but once it's revealed, you can connect all the dots that have happened throughout the book. That is a fantastic reveal. The reveal right before that, I'm kind of iffy on. I am kind of happy that did happen, because there are so many books, especially a really popular one, that does a trope that this one did. Doing that with a certain character, and that second to last reveal, I think that did help it not be similar to all the other books on the market that are trying to do the similar thing. So I did like that as well. It made me a little sad, but it made sense. That's the things that I liked about it. It's not a lot, because I just don't think there's a lot of substance or anything that makes this book any different than any other dystopian that I've read. Besides, again, I thought the writing was really, really good, so I appreciate that. I think the writing is significantly better than like Conform and Silver Elite. However, I liked the storylines of Conform and Silver Elite a lot more, because I think it just had more substance to it. So that's why this book is really complicated, because enjoyment level is very low, because it didn't do anything that I wanted a dystopian to do. So I think my biggest problem with this book is that I felt nothing. I felt nothing while reading this book. And normally I'm sobbing, crying, screaming, raging while I'm reading dystopian books, especially like in the timeline that we're living in. And I say timeline because I refuse to believe that this is the real timeline. I feel like we have Twilight Zoned, gone off course somewhere. Yeah, so in the timeline that we're living in, dystopian books are so relevant. And this one did a little bit of that, but not, I don't think, very successfully. Obviously, I am in the major minority because everyone loves this book. It's got like a 4.45. It's not for me. It's not for me. So basically, for me, this evokes nothing. I think I could have gotten more out of it if we were just following Shadera. I think there was a big disconnect for me that we were following so many different characters, and primarily it was focused within the rich elite place, but even within that area, we only had like one apartment. Like mostly everything was happening at the rich apartment, and we weren't getting any sort of information really about the outer rings. Like we weren't really getting much information about the cardinal area or the boundary. And that is arguably where the more interesting aspect of the dystopian comes in, because when you're seeing like things like the Hunger Games, you're following people from the districts who are being thrown into this wealthy area and forced to survive. The most interesting part is that lead up of learning these characters and learning what the general population is dealing with, and then contrasting it with the incredibly wealthy area. We didn't get that original like boundary kind of like, we're not following someone who was living in the boundary for a really long time. Well, Shadira was, but we didn't follow her doing that. Like she was immediately put into the wealthy area. We did not see what the people were dealing with. We were kind of just told like, hey, they're really poor and they're really, really hungry and they're starving and they are suffering. We didn't see any of that. So I much rather had preferred following our main character Shadira before the contract and then following her after. I think there needed to be like 100 pages or 50 pages before just following her in the rings, walking around, dealing with the average person. And that would have added some emotional context that I did not get from this book, because we didn't see what was going on actually in the rings except for like one time, but way late into the book, again, the last 10%, that's where that kind of came up. So I needed that extra emotional impact to understand how horrible the heart is. Like you understand how terrible the president is and how overpowered and how they have everything. But again, you didn't see the contrast. And in that matter, you really didn't see the wealth that much either. Like you went to like a bar one time and that's it. You were told it seemed and looked very opulent, but you weren't experiencing it. Like, again, a great example in the Hunger Games is you spent a lot of time with Katniss in District 12, where she is starving, she is hunting, she is doing illegal things just to survive. And then she is thrown into the Capitol, and the first thing that happens is on that train, they are given so much food that she is sick. Like, they get sick from the food, and then they go to this Capitol party where people are literally taking tonics to throw up food so they can keep eating. That's what I needed. That gives you that, oh my god, the contrast. And I think that was sorely missing in this book. So that to me, Shadira never felt like she was part of the lower class. She never felt like she was part of this boundary that she was trying to help. And again, I didn't know any of them. I didn't understand what it was really like. And again, you don't need that, but I think it would have helped a lot instead of just being told that they're feeling a certain way. So all these other dystopian books, they evoke some sort of emotion, some sort of feeling. You can like taste the grit of the book and feel the heartbreak and the desperation. And I just didn't feel that in this book again until the last 10%. But by then it was a little bit too late for me to get that emotionally invested. But I said, like, in the Hunger Games, it's vibrant in its gloom. You could feel the grit of the coal between your teeth while you were reading the book. I mean, it's like the way that they describe things, like you could feel the dirt on your skin from these people just trying to survive and working in these coal mines, and then seeing how they looked to the Capitol, and you just felt that emotion there. In Silver Elite, you felt the arrogance of the students. That was the thing. Silver Elite did a really good job, but again, it still had the lead up. Most of the book is taking place in an elite area, but you still spent the first like 50 to 100 pages, I don't know how long the beginning was, understanding the villages and the world and how terrible it is. Like, you got to know people outside of this wealthy area. And I think it's such an important part of a dystopian book. Like in Silver Elite though, like once you're moved into this, you got to know these wealthy elites really, really well. In this book, you only got to know elites really, besides the dad, that were actually good people. And so it was very strange dealing with basically only one villain and everyone else was kind of just existing. So in Silver Elite, they dropped you into this wealthy area and you could feel the disgust rolling off of these wealthy people, feel their arrogance. I mean, it was seeping from their pores and you could just feel the hatred for no reason just because you were poor. So that evoked very strong emotions of like, oh, the classism is crazy in this book and it makes sense. So you could feel all of that emotion coming from those characters. In Conform went with definitely a more aggressive Handmaid's Tale route where the focus was conforming. Like, you had to be like everybody else, and if you fit in perfectly, you were chosen for programs where you could get better and better, but all you could hope for was mediocrity. And the level of oppression that I felt while reading that book was actually so heartbreaking, because you're following a character who actively has been brainwashed into thinking she wants this horrible thing because it is better than what she has now. And that, oh my gosh, the emotions that came from that. And then Divergent. I mean, Divergent was a thrill-seeking, you are being sold something, a life that doesn't actually exist, that's not real. You are being tricked into conforming without even realizing you're conforming. And once you realize that, the betrayal that you felt from Divergent, again, it's these incredibly strong emotions. And then Red Rising, don't even get me started. Red Rising, every single emotion you could possibly imagine, because you got to know the whole world. So it all comes down to not understanding enough about this world at the beginning of this book. I think I really want a prequel to this book. I feel like if we had a prequel where we got to know Grayson growing up, we got to know Shadira growing up, or even like a year before everything happened, or even a couple of days, I'll take a novella of like 100-page novella of the 100 days before this book started. And I think that would add so much context, so much information, so much caring into the book, but I didn't care. I mean, I cared, but not to the level that I needed to. And I did not cry at the end of this, and I should have. Based on what happened at the end of this book, I should have been bawling my eyes out because of what happened. And I should be feeling just so much more about this book than I ended up. So unfortunately, that's why it gets a 3. But it gets a 3 because, like, I can see what it was doing. I can see what it was trying to do. The writing was really, really good. I just think it needed some guidance and just more. For 560 pages, I feel like this book didn't say anything different. It didn't do anything different. It didn't say anything different. And I just needed more from this book, because this could have just been any generic dystopian. And that's fine, but I don't think it's shout from the rooftop, oh my god, this was the best book that I've ever read. So unfortunately, it is a 3-star, and I think that kind of brings us to the point of this video, which the point of this video basically was I was influenced yet again, but should I have been? And I think it's a resounding no. Like, I feel like it ended up working out because I read 3 popular books and honestly didn't really like any of them. Like, I was entertained a lot, but otherwise none of them were like amazing books. Nothing that I would be like, oh my god, I had to read this. My life would be incomplete without reading this. What this comes down to is, no, I should not be influenced by the most popular books out right now. So we read The Wolf King. This is a 3.5. This was very entertaining. The writing's not very good. That's what's funny about this, is Daggermouth's writing is significantly better, but this actually at least had like a storyline. Like, we actually went through a storyline, so I was entertained more by this book. Daggermouth is a better book. My rating system is based off entertainment value, so this does get a 3.5, although arguably I do think Daggermouth is a better book overall. This was fine. It was just really, really entertaining. I don't know how much the rest of the series will keep my attention, but I did read this in one sitting because I just binged through it because it was super easy to read. It was constant action. The pacing was like breakneck speed in this. Sometimes it's really, really fun. Sometimes you just need that to reinvigorate reading. So I would recommend this if you want something incredibly fast-paced. Not a lot of thought behind it, but it is very entertaining. And we read Half His Age, which is definitely an outlier in the situation. I also gave this a 3-star. I do think this was, I understand what it's trying to do. I can't say everything that I said in the review for this because it was a lot. It did successfully do what it was trying to do. I appreciated the aspect of what it was trying to do because it was a very complicated situation, and it asked the question of who's a victim, and I think that is a really important question to ask. When you see a lot of fictional stories online, it's very black and white about what's happening. This was a very gray area situation in many aspects, so I did appreciate that immensely. However, a lot of the overly sexualized scenes were there for shock value alone. They did not add anything to the story, so a lot of those needed to be cut out and filled with more introspection about the situation happening instead of just facts. Yeah. So I think it could have been edited to be something really amazing. I would recommend My Dark Vanessa, though, over this one any day. And like I said, we just finished Daggermouth, which also gets a 3-star. I think the backbone is there. It just needed to do a little bit more, especially at the beginning. I think the middle section definitely got bogged down. I think like a whole 100 pages could have been cut from the middle section and actually moved to the front and used those 100 pages or 50 pages, however much, to explain where we're at a little bit better, because again, the middle section it dragged. The middle was so long, and for what? For what, when everything happened in the last 60 pages? So loved the ending. I thought the ending was really good, but I don't know if it was worth it reading 500 pages to get to the last 60. So I will be continuing the series. I will be continuing in the Wolf King series, and I will pick up another book if Jeanette McCurdy writes one. So I mean, there is that, but I will probably be seeking all of these out from, well, I guess I did buy The Night Prince, but otherwise I will be seeking out probably the sequel from the library, any Jeanette McCurdy from the library, which I did the library for this one. I'm very proud of myself, but this is a de-influenced situation. I need to be careful when it comes to very overhyped books. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know down below if you've read any of these, if you want to read any of these, what you thought about them. Obviously, these are just my opinions. These are very, very popular books. Most people seem to be really, really enjoying them, really loving them. I'm definitely in the minority, especially with Daggermouth. I definitely feel like, I don't know if it's just because of how much dystopian I've consumed, or I don't know. I don't know if my expectations are just like significantly higher for dystopian, but I just didn't vibe with it like I really wanted to. If you made it this far, I totally forgot about that. Leave I guess, let's just leave a heart emoji. Any heart emoji, leave a blue. If they have a blue heart, leave a blue heart emoji for Daggermouth, which was the final book that we read, and my highest expectations, and arguably probably the best book of this video, even though I rated The Wolf King higher. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to miss any future content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.